This conference will now be recorded.
All right, good afternoon and welcome to my Clear Lines training session. I'm your host, Kipp Cohen. It is Thursday, May 9th, 2019. This is a twice weekly training session that I give for the subscribers to Clear Lines Indicator running on the Medved Trader platform. I also make this available to those that are interested in learning more about the Clear Lines Indicator. This session is being recorded, as well as, for the first time, I am streaming live on Facebook through the equity-alerts.com Facebook page. So we've got a little double duty here today, trying something different. Again, this session is twice weekly, every Tuesday, Thursday, 3 o'clock Eastern to 4 o'clock Eastern. You can view it at on my GoToMeeting. If you go to equity-alerts.com and you can find the link to actually watch the webinar. Oops. So this afternoon, I wanted to kind of carry on a little further in depth from what we talked about on Tuesday, going into some of these indicators that, hold on one second, that I've been working with. In combination of with our Medved platform. So before we do that, let me kind of give you just a kind of a quick overview of who I am and what I do and what this is all about, and kind of where I've gotten to where I am today. So I spent 17 years with a company called WiseTrade, which was a trend analysis trading software, trading tools. Was an equity strategist for them, and unfortunately, they closed their business last year, in end of August of last year, and seeing a need, I've kind of filled a void. I went to develop a indicator that would basically replace the old WiseTrade indicator. So worked with my partner in my Clear Trading Systems, a developer that had worked for WiseTrade, to develop and create this Clear Lines. We, due to time constraints, we had to figure out kind of a method to offer that platform or the indicator on. We were initially looking at TradeStation, and then due to some circumstances that worked in our favor, there was a relationship already with Ally, who was the prior owner of WiseTrade, and Medved Trader. They had a their own third-party platform, and the guys at Medved were kind enough to allow us to write our indicator onto their platform and make it available through my partners in equity-alerts.com through our website there. So equity-alerts.com is a informational service where we provide stock market commentary. We help, we do research and find trades throughout the day. My poppers and droppers in the morning, my partner Lindsay and his earnings plays. My partner Jim does a lot of with Forex and trading actively. So we kind of have a good blend of trades, and then we utilize the Clear Lines on the Medved platform during our webinar. So two different companies, but kind of commingled together. And so as part of the subscription for those that utilize the Medved platform, we do offer, I do offer this twice weekly session. It is typically geared towards my users. my Clearlines users. It's also geared towards those that want information about Clearlines and want to learn how to utilize the platform. So, and I'm going to show the platform here now. So, for those that do subscribe to Clearlines, I do provide ongoing training and support. I do, for the new users that initially get started, I will basically help remote into your computer, help you set up the platform, help you build a couple layouts that you find helpful for your style of trading. You know, my goal is to do whatever it takes to get you successful with the system and get you comfortable with it. So that's part of the whole package. If you're interested in learning about subscribing, you can go to our website, equity-alerts.com. And on that website, there is information on Clearlines. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that right now, but you can go to the website. There's information on how to subscribe and the cost involved with it. I'll talk about that again kind of at the very end of this session. But so this is also a user-driven session. So if you do have specific questions, I want to answer those first, and then we'll kind of get into some of the stuff that I wanted to cover today, which is really just a carryover from Tuesday. I would have some indicators that I've been working with on the Medved platform, and they've been very helpful for us. So I'm going to answer a question from Len. It says, can you use this for Forex or in futures? Yes. So for futures, it just depends on your broker. I have data from TD Ameritrade, so I can view, you know, if you like to trade S&P futures, you can trade S&P futures. You can see this is a 1 minute, 3 minute, and you don't see on another window, but a 5 minute charts on another screen. You can change any of the time frames. You know, you can switch between intervals, but yes, to answer your question, you can use this. Now for trading Forex, there is a little different caveat. You do need get your data from interactive brokers, and you have to have their platform running, but it does work. So let me do this real quick. I have and you can use actually one of their demo accounts with interactive brokers. If you use one of their demo accounts, they give you free live quotes for Forex. And give me just a second here. No, let's see. It's actually it's. But you have to start their trader workstation first, and then you can run, and I'll show you how to do that. So once you start the interactive brokers platform, it will then allow you to pull data in. So I need to go to my Forex. So I can just click on, let's say, the euro dollar, and the symbols are, you have to use a £pound EUR.USD. And then one thing I have to do is I have to go here to main, backfill using interactive brokers. So that backfills all the quote data, and I have to do it for actually just the one time. So that'll load it in, and then now you will be able to see quotes for, and let me just blow up one chart. Whoops. So now you can see there's the charts, and for the euro dollar, and I can go to different time frames if you use bigger time frames. But so yes, futures, Forex. There's just different ways you'll have to utilize it depending on which broker you have and what quotes you're trying to bring in. Certain brokers, and there are, just to let you know, the brokers that are integrated with Medved Trader, which is the platform again that we utilize. The brokers that are integrated for trading include Ally Invest, E-Trade, Gain Capital Futures, Interactive Brokers, Optimus Futures. If you're in Canada, Quest Trade, Rhythmic, Robinhood, TD Ameritrade, and Tradier. Those are all the brokers that are integrated with the Medved Trader platform. Now, you don't necessarily have to have an integrated broker. You can utilize any broker to trade with. You just you can enter through your broker's website if you needed to, and use the charts on the Medved platform, if that makes sense. The question from Len, is it compatible with Ninja? I haven't done anything with Ninja yet, just because I have to create something through their marketplace. That's probably something I could do down the road. I just haven't done it, but there is a possibility of that, yes. Okay, so another question from David, which actually we were talking about he wanted to know how to do is to set up alerts. So one of the great things about the Medved Trader platform is that it is a very robust platform that it allows you to do a lot of different things with it. I mean, it's got all kinds of indicators, all kinds of trading tools. It is a very powerful platform. I mean, we don't even probably utilize maybe but 20% of its of what it can really do. And so, hold on one second. Okay, somebody can't hear. So one of the great tools with the platform is what's called the they have different types of alerts. Okay, so you can access this from a chart, and we're going to use, let me blow up the Apple 3-minute so you can see. On the Apple chart, under hold on. So under draw, you can draw what's called an alert line. Okay, so that's one way to do it. So if I want to draw an alert line, I can draw a line. Okay, and then I can right click and edit the alert. Okay.
No, not learning computers, this is the...
Somebody's mic was hot. So I edit the line and it tells me it's an Apple cross trend line down. Okay, and then there's notifications. I can set a pop-up. I can set it to play a sound. Okay. Okay, that's the sound. So if it crosses the line up or down, it's going to play that sound. So if it crosses this line now, if it goes below that line, it's going to play a sound. So you can also go to the dashboard, and under the dashboard is the alerts editor. And from here, you can build or add alerts. So if I want to add another alert, I can pick a single symbol, multi-symbol, portfolio alert, global alert, trade filter. There's all kinds of different alerts. So let's do a single symbol. This time let's pick, we can pick Apple again. Okay, and then I select what type of alert I want. Okay, so then there's price above or below, price crossing up, down, crossing daily range percent, moving up, down percent, daily high low, 52-week high low, trailing stop buy sell, cross pivot point up or down, trade size, news, reminder, and volume. So if I want to do a news alert, again, I can select it to play a specific sound. Okay, that was a little ding. So now I have another alert. If there's a new story that comes out, a new news story on Apple, it's going to play a sound alert for me. If I want to add another trend line, I can go draw and again select the line. If I want to line up above here, oops, now I have two lines. So if it crosses above, and let me edit this line so I can add notifications. So if I happen to not be watching that chart, I'm onto another chart and it crosses above or below that line, then I'm going to get a notification, which you can utilize that when you're looking at different levels, price levels, or if you use pivot points or Fibonacci levels. As it crosses a level, then you can get that notification. Okay. Look, there we go. So we just got it crossed to the trend line going up. And if I want to delete that, now that I'm done, I can delete that alert entirely. So now that's completed, or I can reset it or move it. So price just moved above that line and we got a notification. You could hear it and see it on the software. Hold on one second. So again, there are different ways to do it. You can just draw the single line, or you can go to the dashboard and go to the alerts editor and then create different alerts from here. The news is if it's less than 2 hours old, if we get a new story, then that news alert will pop up. All right, if I want to move this line, I can grab the line and adjust it up or down wherever I want that line to be. So like looking at this chart right now, it's sitting on some support. Actually, the support is on the VWAP line, the volume weighted average price. So I could just basically set it right here. If it comes down and hits that VWAP or breaks below it, I'm going to get another trigger. And that could be a point to enter short as it's breaking below support. All right. So I have a lot of viewers here today. I did want to give you a real basic overview of, before I cover something else, I wanted to show you our two chart layout. This is the layout that I utilize in the morning when I'm reviewing charts for the trading day, the poppers and droppers, or when we're reviewing our setup list. I use what's called a two chart layout. The left chart is an intraday, which I use a 3-minute. The right chart is a historical, which would be the day, week, and month, or the long-term, mid-term, and short-term trend. So you're looking at Apple right now. This is a long-term trend going back to 2015, March of 2015. So you can, at a quick glance, obviously see that Apple was in a big uptrend from mid-2016 up until late 2018. It reversed and then recently bounced. If we go to the weekly chart, you can see on a weekly basis where it ran up, reversed in early November, bottomed out in January, and then on a weekly basis bounced, and then just now is starting to converge on a weekly basis. And then we can go to a daily chart and then look at how you can see the pretty much March and April it ran up, and then beginning of May here we've seen a reversal on Apple. This would be equivalent to looking at the long, mid, and short-term trends on the old YStraight software. A quick glance of those trends, and we can flip through stocks in our watch list and quickly analyze the trend of those stocks by looking at the long-term, mid-term, and short-term trends, okay? If we want to view intraday, that's going to be the chart on the left. This is a 3-minute. This is the whole trading day. So I see that it sold off in the morning, bottomed out, filled in the gap, and then recently rolled over and sold off again. So this is my basic startup in the morning, and then as we get into the trading day, I alternate back to my popper dropper layout, which includes one chart you can't see. This allows me to monitor 2 stocks simultaneously. The upper grouping of charts, the 1 3-minute, and off to the right is a 5-minute. These are tied to the watch list. The lower grouping, 1, 3, and 5 also, there's the 5, is not tied to it. It's independent, and if I want to change the symbol, I just have to type on the chart, and then that allows me to select a new symbol to view. So it's real quick and easy to change out symbols on the software. There is obviously a little bit of a learning curve, being that this platform is very robust and there's a lot of bells and whistles with it. And again, I initially give you that training and then do these live sessions. I also record all of my sessions for those that want to view. You can go to the equity-alerts.com website, click on the YouTube link. Excuse me one moment. My nose was running. Click on the YouTube link on our equity-alerts.com, and that'll take you to our YouTube page, and you'll see there's a ton of videos here. And there are brief descriptions of each video. When you click on it, it'll tell you what's on the video or what was covered in that session. Okay, so now this is what I wanted to cover with some of you guys. I kind of gave you a little teaser in the email, because I've got a lot of new people here today. I sent out an email with a lot of great, a lot of information. And one of the things I said is there's something special I wanted to share with you guys. One of the great things about the Medved Trader platform is that it allows you to kind of customize each chart. So each chart on its own, I can pick different indicators for that chart. I can also select how I want to show the data. Excuse me. All of a sudden I got a runny nose. So, and what I mean by that is, do I want to show just the regular trading hours, 9:30 to 4 o'clock? Do I want to show pre and post market of the current day? Do I want to show just extended hours? Do I want to show all the data, pre-market, post-market, and current trading day? And what I've discovered is that when you show all of the data, pre and post-market, okay, when you're using certain indicators, and those indicators are the pivots, you will get different pivot levels on the all data, the all pre and post market and regular session versus just the current day. Obviously, because during the pre and post market, there are sometimes big moves, especially if there was news, okay? And especially when we look at stocks that are gapping up bigger or gapping down big on a current day, those big pre-market and post-market moves can affect those charts. So what I have done is I have built a layout, and I'm gonna, give me 1 second. I'm gonna show you what indicators. So I use 3 charts intraday. I use at the open a ½ minute, and then I switch to a 1 minute. And on that chart, for extended hours, I use the current day. So that's going to give me the current morning pre-market. And then on the charts, the indicators I use are my clear lines. I use volume, daily pivot points. I use the parabolic stop and reverse, or the PSAR. I've added the DeMark pivot and the Fibonacci pivot. Okay, that's on my ½ minute, 1 minute. The 3 minute chart, I utilize for extended hours always. So it's going to have all the pre and post market data. Okay. And again, I use indicators, clear lines, volume, daily pivots. I don't use parabolic stop and reverse. I use the volume weighted average price, which is a line that, and I'll show you in a minute. And then I also use the DeMark pivot, the Fibonacci pivots, and then I add the Bollinger bands on the 3-minute only. And then on my 5 or 15 minute, because I alternate between those twos, I don't use a whole lot on that. Oh, look, we just crossed the line again. We just got a notification. Oh, this is news. We got news on Apple. News on Apple. And we can click it, and then it gives us the news story. That news just came out. Okay. Nothing important, though. It's official. Apple has a flagship store in DC. Okay, who cares? All right, so on the 515, I use my clear lines, volume, daily pivots, and then volume weighted average price, the VWAP. So this is how I set up my day. These are the 3 time frames I use, intraday, and what I'm using on them. So what I have discovered, and I tested it today with 4 stocks. I tested it with AMD, X, Micron, and Square, SQ, and had successful trades on all 4 stocks utilizing what I have discovered. So let me put Square up, and I have AMD as well. So this is the 3-minute chart. What I've discovered is that all those different indicators kind of play together really well. They marry together very well. Hold on a second. Okay. So we had earlier today, and I typically go to when I'm drawing on a chart. Actually, let me back up and well, we'll start with this chart. Let me remove what I typically do is when I'm looking at a specific chart, I go to the 15-minute first, okay? And I select my Fibonacci retracement, and I draw the retrace using the first 15-minute time frame, okay? What this does is I'm looking at the extension on the first 15. The first 15 tends to give you range for the day, range extension. So like you'll notice, and I'm going to flip back to the 3-minute now that I've drawn it. You'll notice that, and let me change my view to current day so we show everything today. Okay, so this is all of today. Here was that range of the first 15. 0 to 100 is the range for the first 15. So our extension, it went all the way down to the 200. That's where Square bounced, right off the 200 fib level of the first 15-minute time frame. I'm gonna use a highlighter so you can see this. All right. So this was the bottom of the first 15, or the 100% line. It ran down to all the way to the 200. Okay. That was really the only indicator that was down at that level. There was a DeMark, the DML, which is one of the DeMark pivots, that was a little bit above that. It then proceeded to bounce. It went up to the 127. You'll notice right here, there's a red arrow, okay? That red arrow was a indication that the clear lines crossed over just after the market opened. So had you shorted that red 3-minute arrow and the clear lines curving down, you would have been in that trade from pretty much right around 66.25. That was also a break of the 3.8. Well, you didn't have the 382 yet because you hadn't drawn the first 15-minute. But had you been using your 3-minute clear lines with the red arrow, you would have had an opportunity to get short right around 66.25. It went all the way down to 64.70 range. Okay, so $1.50 move down, and that's just starting out using strictly clear lines, and you would have drawn your first 15-minute once we surpassed the 15-minute time frame, which was right here. So it would have then given you a target. All right, so it bounced up. You got a up arrow, gave you a move up to the 127, came back down, bounced off the 1618 right here. And then you got an up arrow. This was a green up arrow on the 3-minute, proceeded to run all the way up to the 100 line, which is the bottom of the first 15-minute, okay? It was also, look at this, it was the Bollinger Band, the top of the Bollinger Band on the 3-minute. It then proceeded to reverse. Where does it go? It goes back to the 127 and to the center of the Bollinger Band. It's amazing how these all work together, right? Okay, then it bounces up, goes back up, goes to the 786 and the top of the Bollinger Band. This is where we recognized a reversal, okay? 3-minute arrow right here. So you can see, actually, we put a short in. Shorted at 65.77, 65.77. It then reverses and goes down and bounces where? Right off the 127. Now we got out a little bit before that because we were using our stops covered at 65.57. So 20-cent move, 20-cent move. And again, I was kind of testing the whole theory. So we got 20 cents right through there utilizing these indicators that I'm showing you. All right, so let's continue to follow what happens. Bounces back, goes right to the same level, the 786 of the first 15-minute and the top of the Bollinger. Proceeds to go down, hold on one second. It goes down. And bounce off the 127, I'm sorry, bounce off the volume weighted average price, the VWAP, okay? Because that's one of the indicators that we follow. Then, hold on, let me check something real quick, okay? Sorry, I got some of this not getting volume. Okay. So bounces off the volume weighted average price. Again, this is one of the indicators that we follow every day. Runs up, clear lines gives a clean arrow up, cross up, and goes all the way to the 236. All right, we top just above the 236 on the top of the band, reverses down to the 618, back to the 236, down to the 618. See how we kind of get stuck in this rut? And then it just kind of bounces in between Fibonacci levels. And then we get another good sell-off all the way back down where to? Volume weighted average price in the bottom of the Bollinger Band. Look at this. Just a few minutes back, this was about 10 minutes ago, 12 minutes ago, we got another up arrow right here and a bounce off of VWAP right around 65.85. That was a 50-cent move up right there. And where did it go? Right to the 236 and the top of the Bollinger. So by utilizing these multiple time frames and these multiple indicators, we got very clear points of inflection, points to get in, points to get out, okay? I have to kind of clear this all out, and then I want to show you on the 1 minute, okay, because in the 1 minute, you're watching the 1 and the 3 together. So here was the trade on the 1 minute. So I had the 1 minute arrow right here had crossed down. The entry was after the 1 minute arrow, and we got out. You can see it had bounced on the 1 minute, and we had an up arrow actually occurred as soon as we got out. But that was a very clear trade. We had a clear entry, clear exit on this trade. AMD, I want to show AMD because that was another good one. So I'm going to blow up the chart. I'm going to show you again how to draw the Fibonacci levels. So I go to the 15-minute, all right, and I draw my Fibonacci off of the first 15-minute time frame. And actually, you can draw it twice, but initially this morning, we started at the bottom and drew up because we needed to get our extension down initially. Oops, hold on. Okay, so let me draw again so you can see. So you'll notice the high this morning was at the DeMark pivot. So if you were watching at the open and you saw that it hit that DeMark, the DMC, and you were watching the 1 and 3 minute, you might have been able to short right off of that initial hit right off the DeMark pivot. Okay, it also was the top of the Bollinger this morning. So that was a good entry for initial short. And then on your 3 minute, you had a down arrow that occurred just a couple minutes into the trading day. So even if you waited for the down arrow, you're in, let's say, around $66, between 66 and 66 and a quarter. That was your short entry. Well, it just kept dropping and dropping and dropping. And so after you were 15 minutes in, this was the 15-minute point right here. You drew your 15-minute levels and it kept dropping. Guess where it went? Right to the 200 fib level of the first 15. That's where it bounced up, okay? Right off the 200% of the fib extension. It then proceeded to bounce, and if you were trailing your stop, you would have probably been stopped out along the way. Went right to the 127. Reversed down to the 1618. It then actually gave an up arrow right here and ran up to the top of the band and back to the 100, right to the top of the Bollinger. Reversed, this was interesting, to the 127 and the middle line of the Bollinger on the 3 minute. And then it went right up to the 786, the top of the Bollinger. And it was a Fibonacci support level 1. You can't, it's hard to see it, it's hiding behind, but right here, 6587, it's hard to see it, but there was a Fibonacci support level 1 right here. So this is one of the other indicators that I use. Well, that's where we got short. This short was at oh wait, I'm still on square. We already looked at square. Wait, sorry, I'm supposed to be on AMD now, aren't I? Not square. I'm just rehashing what I just covered. Sorry, I went to the wrong chart. Let me open up AMD. Okay, because AMD, let me go to the, okay, let me draw the, sorry guys, I just was rehashing what I just did. See, I get a little excited. All right, so AMD first 15 minute, okay, there we go. Okay, now let me go to the 3 minute on AMD. Okay, and let me show current day. Okay. So AMD this morning reverses at, again, we wouldn't have the fib yet, but we had Fibonacci pivot right here. This was Fibonacci pivot. So that hits it, reverses, then we get an arrow down on the 3 minute. Could have been short, and then it goes all the way to the 14140 and the Fibonacci support, which is right here. That's this line. That's where it bounces up. So it was on that bounce that we got long. We got long. The long entry was bought at 26.18. Now this was a short trade. It only got a dime out of it because it ran up and hit support level 1, which was right here, and reversed, and we were trailing it, and we got stopped out with 10 cents. Okay. It then kind of chopped around. It retested that low again, and I actually missed it because I wasn't watching it. But you'll notice we got an up arrow right here. We got a re-entry off of that 14140. This was the better trade because this proceeded to run from 2610 all the way up to the 618 and the top of the band before getting a reversal. And that move was about 50 cents. It reversed, hits a combination of VWAP, the 100 line, and the center Bollinger right here, and bounces. So we got another up arrow. We could have gone long again right here, right around 2645, which was also right at Fibonacci support level 1. And again, big move up, which we missed because I wasn't watching. And that move was good for 80 cents, okay, before it reversed. The point I'm trying to get across is that utilizing all these indicators together, we're starting to see very clear entry and exit points along with the clear lines. We're fine-tuning our entry and exits. We're getting other indicators that are lining up with the clear lines to help us. So AMD and Square, and then X and Micron were the other two trades. X and Micron, I just want to point these out, that occurred earlier in the day. Micron on the 3-minute, let's go to the 15 and draw the fib. Whoops. Okay, so I need to draw that first 15-minute Fibonacci. Go back to the 3-minute. Okay, so again, so this morning, obviously a little market chop. We bounce off the 127. It goes up, hits the volume weighted average price, VWAP, and reverses. Bounces off the 127. Runs up, hits the 100, retests the 127. That becomes big support right here. And this is where we got long. Long, you can see right here, 500 shares at 38.34. Okay, starts running. We trail it with our stop. This time we get 20 cents out at 38.44. It actually ended up running a little further. It went all the way to the 786 before it reversed. So it went another about 15 or 20 cents before reversing. Comes down, retest, doesn't quite get to the 127, and then finds support. We get another up arrow on the 3-minute as it bounces off of the center Bollinger, and then again, miss, but there was a big run up. That run up was 38.40, a dollar move. That was a dollar move through there. All right, hits Fibonacci support 1 right here and reverses. Double tops, reverses, comes all the way down to the 0 line, which was the first 15-minute high. Bounces, goes up to the center line, the top of the Bollinger, comes down, hits the DeMark pivot, runs, bounces up to S1 of the daily pivot, reverses, gets almost to the 236 and one of the other support lines before turning around and bouncing. And then look at this, we just reversed right off of, and this would possibly be a good place to get short right now, right off of support level 1 and the top of the Bollinger Band. Now, obviously with 15 minutes to go in the trading day, I'm not going to put any trades on right now, but this potentially, let me go to the 1 minute and confirm it. Yeah, actually, let me delete all this. See the 1 minute, we got a down arrow, and we had Fibonacci support and S1 on the 1 minute. This would have been our short entry right here. This would have been where we would have gone short. there's just not enough time in the trading day. But that would have been our short entry right there. And then, so figuring out where is it going to go, again, if we had more time in the trading day, we could look at potential targets as right here, DeMark L in the center line. That would be our first target. Our second target would be the 0 line. And then our third target, which is probably the biggest one, is right here, because you have the 236, you have the bottom of the Bollinger, and you have another pivot point. This is, I believe, one of the DeMark or Fibonacci pivots right here. It's hard to see because I've got the, but you've got a confluence of three different indicators all at one spot. So that would have given you, that had a potential of about a 40-cent gain. Again, depends on how much, we're almost out of trading time in the day. But Micron, again, very clear points today. And then the other one that we traded with success this morning was US Steel. There were actually two trades, two shorts, the first one through here, and then a second one through here. And again, following the indicators, we saw a bounce this morning up to the 127, down to the 618, all the way up to the 200. And that's where that first entry occurred, rollover off the 200, came down to the 127 and bounced. There was our exit, ran up to the 2618 right here. It topped out, which was also close to the DeMark pivot. It was finding some support here and then rolled over down to the 200, back up, testing Fibonacci resistance 1, and the 2618 back down to the 200, back up. So it kind of got caught, and then it broke out, ran up to Fibonacci resistance 1, and then reversed down basically to back to Fibonacci resistance 1 and the 2618, and the bottom of the Bollingers bounces back to Fibonacci resistance 2, the top of the band, back down to Fibonacci resistance 1 and the bottom of the band. And then here we are stuck right around confluence of, hold on, I got to delete that so I can see. I think that's resistance 1 of the daily pivot and the 300. So this combination of using all these different levels together are giving us some really nice, clean support resistance levels, points of inflection, points of where we can find potential targets for our entries and exits once we're in a trade and once we're looking to get out and find a profit target. Any questions about that? Does anybody have any specific questions? Oh, good. I'm glad this helped you, Bruce. He said he needed this explanation. Yeah. So again, these are the time frames that I utilize. Excuse me one second. I use in the morning, I start with a half minute or 1 minute. I use the current day for the extended hours, and then clear lines, volume, pivot points on the daily, parabolic stop and reverse, the DeMark pivot, and the Fibonacci pivots. On the 3 minute, which is really the critical time frame. 3 minute is really one that a lot of traders follow. I use for extended hours always. I want all the data. And then I use clear lines, volume, daily pivot, volume weighted average price, DeMark pivot, Fibonacci pivots, Bollinger bands. And then on the 5 or 15 minute time frame, I use clear lines, volume, pivot points on the daily, and the volume weighted average price. And this is never for the extended hours on the 5 and 15. And we were just looking at Micron, remember, just a minute ago. Look at that. I mean, you can see the reversal right now. Whoops. I said if there was more time, I would have shorted it. And look where we're at. Look where it just hit. It just hit the center line of the Bollinger Band. We have 10 minutes. I should have shorted it. I have 10 minutes to go. But I don't like doing anything in the last 15 minutes of the trading day. I mean, that's good if you're doing overnight stuff like earnings plays, but it's hard to trade right at the end of the day. It came, look, it literally bounced right off of that center Bollinger Band. 39.18 was the 39.1881, and 39.19 was the low of that 3-minute candle. I mean, we literally touched it and bounced. Any other questions? Let's do one other stock. Just anybody have a stock they would like me to analyze for them utilizing these indicators? Maybe something that one of you traded today you'd like me to look at? So you can compare. Anything any of you have that you would like me to show? If not, I'm just going to pick a random stock. Come on, somebody give me something. Scott, Mojo, somebody give me something. Ed, David, Bob, Bill, somebody. Amy, Bruce, Etsy from Mojo. Thank you. Etsy. Thank you. I knew I would get. All right, and then I'll do Disney next. And if I have time, I'll do Spot for David. All right, and then that's it. Okay, so Etsy. Let me go to the first 15 minute. So I'd go to the first 15 minute. So that had a pretty big candle. This was a earnings play, I believe. So there's our first 15 minute. Now let me switch to a 3. Okay, so out of the gate this morning, it sells off. We do have a down arrow. Actually, if you were watching it in the pre-market right here, you had a down arrow just before the open. You could have shorted in the pre-market. It comes all the way down, where to? The 127 and the bottom of the Bollinger Band. That's where it bounced. All right, bounces. You actually get an up arrow on the bounce. And where does it go? It first hits the 50% fib, stalls out, and then rips up to the 236 before reversing back down. All right. Doesn't give us an arrow until we get back below the 618. We get a reversal arrow. That's around 6260. It proceeds to sell off, breaks the VWAP, comes down, and gets all the way back to, guess what, the double bottom at the 127. It goes a little bit lower to test the bottom of the Bollinger Band. Bounces, goes where? To the center line of volume of the Bollinger Bands, and then proceeds to kind of run right around those lines. It did bounce up at one point, hitting the top of the bands, but comes back in. And then we get a breakout, and you'll see right here, it broke off of the center line. And what did we do? We got a green arrow up. Actually, we had multiple green arrows up. There were 1, 2, 3 arrows up. And it broke out, and where did it go? To the 786, which was also the top of the band and Fibonacci support level 1. Proceeds to reverse, hits the 100 line, bounces up almost to VWAP, reverses, hits support level 1 of the daily pivot, bounces up to VWAP, down to the center Bollinger Band, back up to Fibonacci support 1, the top of the band, back down to the 100 line. You can see it just kind of follows these indicators, and that's where it ends its stay. And then we wanted to do Disney for Scott? Disney, let's go to the first 15. Let's draw that. First, that was a big candle. Oof, that was a big range in the first 15 minutes. Okay, so first 15 minute. So basically right off the top of the first 15-minute time frame, we reversed at the clear lines reversed off of the top of the Bollinger, and you got an arrow right here off the top of the Bollinger. Okay, right there. That was right after it went through the Bollinger. You got an arrow, came down, hits the DeMark right there. There's the DeMark. That green line is the DeMark pivot. Bounces up to the 382. We get another down arrow as it breaks through VWAP and the center line, and then goes all the way down to the 127 of the first 15 minute and the bottom of the bands. Bounces, get an up arrow, hits the 786 in the center line, kind of plays across that 786, reverses, hits support level 1, S1, and the bottom of the Bollingers, bounces, kind of goes into the middle of kind of almost to the 786, doesn't quite get there, comes down, hits the 100 line, and then here you go, bounces up to VWAP. There's the VWAP line, plays off of the center line of the Bollingers, bounces back up to VWAP, bottom of the band, back up to the VWAP, 786, VWAP 786, top of the band 618, bottom of the band, back to VWAP, and then here we are almost back to the 100 line, to the bottom of the first 15 minute. Again, pretty clear levels that it ran across. Spot was one that was requested. Spot. Go to our first 15 minute. Let's draw the Fibonacci levels. Oh, this was beautiful. Another beautiful, look at this. This is great. So first 3 minute out of the gate, guess what? You get a down arrow right out of the gate. A couple minutes in, we get a 3 minute arrow. And that was right on the VWAP. It breaks the VWAP, goes all the way down to the 14140 of the first 15 minute. Bounces up to the 786 and VWAP. Comes right back down to the 14140, up to the 100, down to 14140, up to the center line, back down to Fibonacci support 3. That was a big level right here, Fibonacci support 3. Turns up through the 14140 and then runs all the way to Fibonacci support level 2, FS2, down to volume weighted average price, curves up, give a green arrow, back up to support level 1 and the 50% fib level right there, reverses down to the bottom of the bands, bounces around the 786, the bottom of the band, and then rips up, hits the 382 of the first 15 minute, plays off of that before reversing down to, guess what, the bottom of the Bollinger and the 786, bounces to the top of the band, almost to the 382 again, and then reverses, and here we are right now. Follows those indicators almost like clockwork. And then the last request was for TPR. TPR, which was one of our poppers this morning. TPR was actually was a great popper today. Go back to the 3 minute. All right, so out of the gate, right at the open, look at this. The 3 minute gives us a down arrow right there, right out of the gate. So proceeds to reverse, bounces off the bottom of the, basically we put in our first 15-minute low, that's where it bounces. Comes all the way up to the 50% fib, which was also, guess what, volume weighted average price. Reverses, drops and retests the first 15-minute low. Bounces back to that 50% fib level. So that 50% was a double top. Reverses, doesn't really get to anything, almost to the bottom of the bands, and then bounces to the 786 and the center line. Reverses down to the 100 again, bounces to the center line. Now this time it broke lows. There was nothing below here. It went below the bottom Bollinger, bounces back through it, hits right to the 786 and the top of the bands, comes down, hits the center line of the Bollinger Band and the 100 line, that first 15-minute low, bounces back to the 786 and the top of the bands, reverses, and hits and goes through the center Bollinger to hit the bottom band, basically bounces off that first 15-minute low, comes back, retests the top of the band and the 786, reverses, and we're getting up and down arrows along the way, hits that 100, retest it, and then breaks down. Again, pretty clear across the board. What I'm finding is it tends to work better with stocks that are less volatile. So like the X, the AMD, those stocks it worked very well with. It does work good with some of the more volatile stocks, but it tends to work a little cleaner with those other ones. So my time is pretty much up. If you're interested in learning more about clear lines, you can email me at kip@equity-alerts.com. I do this session twice weekly, same link every time, 3 o'clock Eastern. I do post these to YouTube. Our YouTube page you can get to by going to equity-alerts.com, clicking on the YouTube link. If you're interested in getting information on subscribing, you can email me or call me. The cost of the clear lines alone are $59 a month. There could be a potential additional fee. If you don't have an account with Ally Invest, you will have an additional $19.99 a month for Medved Trader. If you don't have an account with Ally Invest, TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, or Interactive Brokers, you may also have to subscribe to a third-party data provider. Okay, that could be a potentially additional. Question from Joe, we can pause the YouTube video so we can stop as we watch. Yes, you can pause, you can move back and forth, yes. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in today and watching. And I will be back on Tuesday at 3 o'clock Eastern if you would like to watch again. And if you have questions, email me, kip@equity-alerts.com. You're welcome to call or text me at 972-841-8886. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great trading day. And I will see some of you in the morning. Happy trading.